You know, I rely on the great people of the channel to pick my brain or to massage my brain, say like The Simpsons with Mr. Burns, as to some of the bigger players of the 1970s, 80s, and 90s. Now, Andrew Lippert is one of these followers. Andrew, we always appreciate you giving comments. And he made a comment about the Chicago Blackhawk and Boston Bruin and different, what he called vintage podcasts we've been doing. But he said, Jeffrey, you know, why don't you do something on Mike Bullard? I don't think it was being the talk show host, because Mike Bullard was a very famous talk show host in Canada. But he said, why would you talk about Mike Bullard, the sniper, who in the year that Pittsburgh was trying to lose to get Mario, he had 51 goals. So today we're going to be talking about probably at his age was the best midget player in the world. No joke intended. Mike Bullard. Now, Mike Bullard, probably the most important number one draft pick before Mario. For Pittsburgh in the 1980s. He was taken 9th overall by the Pens in 1980. Now, a center, 5'10", 185. Some people thought he was going to go higher in the draft. Now, put this in perspective. In 1978, he made national headlines in Canada with one of the best midget seasons in the Ontario AAA League of all time. 203 points in 90 games, including 89 goals and 114 assists. Now, East Ottawa at the time was a powerhouse. He was drawing a lot of interest by what was then the OMJHL, and sure enough, Brantford came calling in 79. He had 99 points in 66 games, including 43 goals. Now, his draft year in 1980, 150 points, goal a game pace, 66 counters in 66 games. Now, of course, he first came to major prominence, like a lot of players in Canada, at the 1974 Quebec International Pee-wee Hockey Tournament. Now, that team from East Ottawa was a powerhouse. They were very dominant in very key situations against regional rivals. Now, with Brantford, he put out some really dynamite numbers, and again, the 81 season as well. With Brantford in 81, he had 107 points in 42 games before he officially turned pro with Pittsburgh that year with 3 points in 15 games. Now, with Brantford in 1980, he was an All-Star second team, 81 All-Star third team, and also led the league in goals in 1980 with 66. Now, like I said, Brantford had him high on the radar. He was the number one pick in the 78 OMJHL entry draft. Now, ironically, he got his NHL debut against Toronto, which he would have played for later on. But that number 22, boys, to watch him on the ice, complete fire, complete sniper in every shape or form. A career that can basically be described as one that is a scout's dream. To draft someone like this and to see the tenacity and the talent of this individual. Now, he made the All-Star game for Pittsburgh in '84. Again, that Mario year, 51 goals. He was the MVP for the Pens in '84. He won the Rookie Year for Pittsburgh in '82. He was the 3-star leader for Pittsburgh, the Booster Club Award in '84. Pittsburgh's Players Player Award in '82. He won the Leading Point Scorer Award for Pittsburgh in '84 with 92 points. He was Pittsburgh captain from October '84 until November 12, '86. Now, in a 100-point season, again, not with Pittsburgh, but with Calgary. And one of the most bizarre trades ever, the Pens unloaded Bullard for a good player in Dan Quinn, but it's a head-scratcher. Now, he had a 150-goal season with Pittsburgh, 51 in '84. He was a shooting percentage leader of the league with 25.5 in '82. He was the first goals of the game leader for Pittsburgh in '84 with 11. That was a statistic that wasn't talked about much at the time. But any success Pittsburgh had that year was due to Bullard. And again, this was the Mario we're going to lose year. Now, he led Pittsburgh in goals in '82, 36, which he tied, and 51 in '84. He was assist leader for Pittsburgh in '84 with 41. But he was also strong with Calgary in '87 with 4 goals and 6 points into a short playoff run. Now, he's also known as a giant killer. He scored a goal for Pittsburgh with 4:29 remaining in the third period of the Penguins' February 24th, 82 game versus the Islanders, which ended the Islanders' 15-game winning streak, which was an NHL record at the time. He set a Pittsburgh record since broken for goals by a rookie with 36 and 82. He missed part of Pittsburgh's 82 training camp and started the 83 season with mono, which was diagnosed in September 82. Again, he became the fourth player in Pittsburgh history to score 50 goals a season when he achieved a feat in 84. Now, despite the fact he lost some of the season with a leg injury suffered in March 84. Now, but he had some problem on the ice and off the ice. He also was fined $100 by Pittsburgh during the 84 season for breaking a term curfew by staying out at Buffalo Bar with all people Andy Brickley, not known for being a rowdy player. Now, he was one of Barry Lemieux's first pro teammates with Pittsburgh in 85. But he did miss part of 85 with a chip fracture in his shoulder, an injury suffered during a New Year's Eve game against Detroit. Now, he began playing left wing to make room for Mario on the main line during the 85 season. He eventually tied a record since broken for points in one game with 6 versus St. Louis on December 5th, 84. Now, injuries plagued him as well. He missed part of the 86 season with a cracked rib suffered during Pittsburgh December 7th, second game in 85 versus the Rangers. He also missed part of the 1990 season with a hip flexor injury suffered in March 1990. Now, because of certain aspects of him maybe not getting what he was worth in the NHL, he left the league in June 1990 to sign a contract with a Swiss team, but returned to the NHL for the 92 season when he signed with Toronto as a restricted free agent on July 1991. As compensation for the signing, Philadelphia took the option of Toronto's 92 fourth-round pick or a 93 third-round pick. The Flyers chose the 93, which turned out to be Vaclav Prospal. Now, he was eventually placed on waivers by Toronto on June 28 to July 28, 92. He cleared waivers, becoming an unrestricted free agent and continued his career in Europe. Now, of course, he was represented by the great Gus Medali during his NHL playing days, which made him a lot of friends and enemies among the NHL elite. Now, off ice was a little bit difficult as well. He was arrested on January 31st, 85, when his car struck 2 people in Mount Lebanon, Pennsylvania. The people he hit were treated at a hospital for minor injuries. Bullard was later charged with drunken driving after police, sensing a smell of alcohol in his breath, gave him a blood alcohol test. The case closed after hearing him late March 85, also cast a cloud over the rest of Bullard's season and made him kind of, not persona non grata, but a lot of people felt he left a lot of people down. And Bullard, a lot of people looked up to Mike, and that's the problem. Now, in Europe, it was a tremendous career over more than a decade. He was Germany's Player of the Year in Landshut in 94. He made the Germany Elite League All-Star first team in 01-02 with Schwinnigan. Germany records with most career points and most career goals, 209 goals and 500. He was Germany's point leader and goals leader and assist leader in 94 with Landshut with 37 goals and 63 points, and in 97 the assist leaders for Landshut with 51. Germany playoff points leader with Landshut and the goals leader again in 95, 17 goals and 27 points. Now, he eventually turned to coaching. He was named Schwinnigan head coach in May 2003 and stayed there until the end of the 2004 season. Now, very active in charities. He also played on Calgary's off-season charity softball team. Now, the big question is, why did Pittsburgh trade him when they had Mario there? I can never understand this. Dan Quinn was a good player, but Bullard would have shone with Pittsburgh, and he might have played on those early 1990 Stanley Cup champion teams, but who knows about hockey? So let's put this in perspective, ladies and gentlemen. Bullard with Pittsburgh, 82, 36 goals, and 22, 51, 32, and 41. Traded to Calgary at 30 goals combined that year. 48 goals in Calgary in 88. St. Louis and Philadelphia, a split season, 27 goals in 74 games. With the Flyers in 1990, 64 points in 70 games. With Toronto in 92, he had 28 points in 65 games. Now, overall, NHL totals 329 goals, 345 assists, 674 points, and 28 points in 40 playoff games. In the German League, 413 points and 163 goals in 381 games. Now, Let's put this in perspective, ladies and gentlemen. When Mario arrived, Pittsburgh had not made the playoffs for at least 2 seasons and didn't make the playoffs for a couple of seasons after. Bullard would have easily helped Pittsburgh to a Stanley Cup much quicker. Better times than Calgary, but he was not on the Stanley Cup winner in '89 because he was eventually long gone to St. Louis and Philadelphia. Toronto in '92, he missed out on the '93 run. But in Germany, like I said, he was a big hero for expats and German fans. Now, here's the question. For a lot of people, if you look at the production from 1981 to 1992, that's probably one of the best decade-long stretches in NHL history. If he would have played in the NHL for another 3 or 4 years, could have easily scored 400 goals, the Hall of Fame could be calling. But I saw Mike Bullard at his peak, ladies and gentlemen. In 1984, in 1988, there was, if you were going to describe a sniper, it was Mike Bullard. And let me tell you something, that playoff run for the Flyers in '89, okay, 19 games, losing to Montreal in the semifinals. He was a big part of the Flyers, not to say Stanley Cup run, but he came pretty close. So he could have easily won 2 or 3 Stanley Cups with the right timing and the right teammates. But I don't know why Calgary got him and gave up on him. I still don't understand exactly why. I look at that '88 season, boys, he was just flying that year. But who knows in hockey? By the way, that 1986 World Championship team that he played on for Team Canada, probably one of the better ones in Canada's World Championship history. And that tournament was quite impressive because it was at the Luzhniki, which if a lot of people know was where the 72 series was. And Bullard and that great Team Canada came within an inch of making a major effort. They got bronze that year, and Bullard was a big part of that. And just to remind everybody about that squad that year, that was one of the last times where I think the Soviets were pretty well clear choices to win, and this was their 20th title. Now, Brett Hull played that year for the United States. As we know, Calgary and St. Louis were a big part of his career. But Brett Hull was not invited to go. He chose to accept to go play for the States from Dave Peterson. So anything could have happened if Hull and, can you imagine Hull and Bullard on the same line, the same power play? Canada would have won it easily several goal. So that's a what if. Now, this was the year, of course, that the Czechoslovakians didn't do well. It was the first time they finished on the medals since '67. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's a legend of the great Mike Bullard. Not the talk show host, but the player. If you have any great memories of the Penguins, his time with Calgary, St. Louis, the Flyers, even the Maple Leafs, he was well suited to the Toronto system at the time. Let me know. And again, Andrew, thanks a lot for the suggestion. And as we like to say in the North Shore, New Brunswick, and Cape Breton, keep your stick in the ice. Bye.